you. I don't want you to have to go to, someone said, an institution or a nursing home.
Are you aware that the Ryan budget, which you support, would put an end to Medicaid, Medicare?
Over the next 10 years?
What it does is it gives it to the state so that they can make the priority decisions over how to spend that money within Medicaid, because Medicaid is a joint state and federal program. And right here in Washington State right now, they are making really tough decisions on Medicaid. They had to, the governor even proposed to eliminate the basic health plan, to eliminate the disability lifeline, critical access hospitals were, and that's because the federal government wasn't giving Washington State, giving Gregoire and the legislature the ability to decide how best to spend those money within Medicaid. They had applied to the federal government for a waiver, a universal waiver, and they were denied. And I don't think the federal government knows better than Governor Gregoire and the legislature here in Washington State. I really believe that they are closer to us here. They know the needs. Your local representatives are going to make better decisions than some person in Washington, D.C. And that's what the Ryan budget did. It said, we're going to give those decisions back to the states to prioritize. And I recognize Medicaid was intended for the low income, for the developmentally disabled, for those really in need, the neediest. And it is an important safety net that we have in this country and in every state. It's very important. Right. But it's on a path right now where it's not going to meet the needs of those that is really
it hasn't. It already hasn't been meeting the needs of the people.
And voting to cut maybe $48 billion that you voted for, you had more power than that. And
yes, you did.
If you don't support Medicaid, coal might need it someday.
I understand that. The current program.
And you voted to dismantle Medicaid and Medicare.
I did not.
Yes,
I voted to save these programs.
You need to be not true. Misrepresentation. Yeah. It should be from the federal government. They can't decide certain rights, and yes, it's not an entitlement, it's a right. Then maybe they should get voted out, including.
Well, and
that's our right.
That's absolutely.
But the Republicans are so out of touch with what's going on in this country and how the American people feel. And it's a cop-out when you say you're taking it to the states.
We have another.
Because you know as well.
So it's not even across the board, and so crazy states like Texas could do things like they do in Arizona. It's just not right. American people are tired of.
We have another word.
We did. Yeah, we have a constituent that would like to talk.
I'd like to speak for a minute.
No, we'll allow her to speak.
I support that happening. I support the states making that decision.
Prove it.
That's right.
Prove it by your vote.
We watch your vote.
I want Governor Gregoire and the legislature, Republicans and Democrats, agreed on that Medicaid.
The problem is they look at us as numbers, not people. They look at this gentleman as a number.
I would say that's what the federal government does.
I think the state does too, because there's been major cuts to this program more in the last 5 years, and we've had wage freeze for the last 5 years. And you know what? You're not struggling to pay your bills, but he is, and so am I. Because I care for who I take care of.
We have someone here who would like to speak.
Yeah,
to that.
Yeah.
Let me just, I've got to take the congresswoman to an important event at 1 o'clock. Why don't we, 5 minutes, is that fair?
Yeah, that's great.
So
We just
why don't
appreciate
go
you coming
ahead
out and addressing
hear
us.
her?
But
Going to a debate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for listening. My name is Carol Bryan. I teach in the Meade School District in Spokane. I've taught 23 years in the Meade School District, and I've taught 8 years at St. George's in a private school, so I'm aware of some of the problems that are coming up with charter school potentially. I've taught in different states for 5 years, and I've been home with my kids for 5 years, and I've had to live off my home equity for 1.5 years while I was sick. I won't be able to retire at 65 if the Medicare age is changed to 67. There are many, many, many teachers who would like to retire who are exhausted because the system we're in now isn't the system we signed up to teach in, and the goals aren't the same. But we cannot retire without Medicare. And
Yes.
we say we want to turn the school system over to younger, energetic people. Well, the teachers that would like to retire cannot retire without Medicare.
It might be some of the best teachers that are retiring.
Well, that's
I might
possible,
suggest,
too.
but on Medicare specifically, again, I would say I am committed to doing what I can to save Medicare and to making sure that that program is around for a long time. And any of the changes that we proposed, it didn't make any changes to anyone that was 55 and over. And what it is looking at that program is set to go bankrupt. Bankrupt in 2017.
Because of Republican votes.
And because of the
You
war.
and your supporters have been continuously undercutting this, and then you blame us for the fact that it's
It was
going on.
President Obama's health care bill that cut
This started well before President Obama. Do not try to misdirect it.
It's misdirection. That's not true.
No, it is
Now
not.
let's get moving on to the next person.
Health.
You said
It
5
is
minutes per person.
autism.
Let's get 5 minutes per person here. You
It's
get
not
plenty
true.
of time to speak when you go to DC.
I
Let
just-
them speak now.
I just
I'm
want your
here to
health care
listen. I am.
coverage
I'm
and
also
your
here to
retirement
tell you
plan.
some of the truth of
Well, we don't listen to Fox News. So.
We'd all be happy if we just had your health care coverage and your health care plan and
Or
your
if you had
retirement
ours.
plan for health care.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done.
Okay.
Swap a day in there too.
Here is a fact sheet about that report that we gave you, and these are some of the actual facts of how this Ryan budget does cut Medicare, and this is what you voted for. So we just thought we'd let you know that we are aware of the ins and outs of the Ryan budget and what it does and what it doesn't do. And being your constituents, we are watching because we want your priorities to be our priorities.
I know from
Appreciate that.
teaching that some things have to be at the federal level. I have taught many years in many states. It doesn't help me for retirement at all. I might as well have not worked for those years. And some things have to be fair for everybody in this country, and healthcare is one.
That's true.
Yes, Carol.
And the other thing I'd like to interject is that we're not just radio folks. I belong to two retiree organizations, and our children and our grandchildren need something secure. As you go from company to company or change careers, only Social Security follows you, only Medicare. I have a daughter in Texas, grandson in California. There's 3 teachers in our family. We've been in lots of different things, as well as private business. And there's a lot of experience back there, and a lot of times without support. And those are important for future generations. And we just ask that.
The strength of this country starts with strong families and strong communities. And I appreciate the fact that you care, that you're involved, because I think we're all going to make better decisions when we have these kind of conversations. I do.
I worked forever, and when my daughter was 2, she developed juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. 2 months later, she went into a coma and nearly died. From that point on, she had a pre-existing condition. I kept her insurance through COBRA whenever I had to leave a job to take care of her. We could barely survive. Finally, somebody at the school said, "How about Medicaid?" We didn't know we were eligible because we worked. But we were, and she got Medicaid. I became disabled when I was in my 50s. Alice has been on Medicare since she was 18. Her pre-existing condition thing, if I hadn't been able to meet the COBRA payments, she would have had no health care insurance at all. And Obamacares would take care of that. I did everything I could, but we went into bankruptcy twice because we could not afford the medical expenses we had. I think everybody should have as good insurance as we have with Medicare. It's better than any of the insurance I paid for when I was working. And and she's still sick, and luckily she's covered because she can't work.
Right.
And I don't know, Obamacare will help that. But
I'm not so sure.
It will get rid of
Try to find a doctor right now in Eastern Washington.
I have.
Who will take a new Medicare patient. I encourage you to. And the reason
I did that.
Well, it's very
We just did it
difficult.
too.
We have one last point here.
There'll be new funding.
I will next year.
It's very difficult.
Expanded Medicare will provide more.
is our doctor.
Yeah. Oh, you're the doctor?
Yeah.
Yay.
I'll take somebody next year.
Awesome.
Yay.
Medicare is. And at the state level, they're considering cutting at the state level too.
If there's a
So it's getting
program
harder and harder to find the
Did
doctors.
she hear that? That we have a doctor in the room? Let's announce that. Congresswoman?
Okay, one more.
We have
One more. Like free wellness exams every year. There will be benefits.
right.
We do actually have a doctor.
We have a doctor here in the room.
So he's saying he's already saying that he.
Hey guys, we have one other person that wants to speak real quick. That hasn't yet.
And so if you stop some of the wars and quit supporting all the wars and trying to govern the whole world,
Yeah.
you could support healthcare for the
I agree
The
with
last
that.
point here.
doesn't have it. It's
Okay.
wrong.
I want America to have the best healthcare system in the world, and copying Canada or Great Britain, where people have even longer waiting lists and they.
But at least they still have health care available to them and don't die.
Let's let this last person speak.
Yes.
Hi, I'm a small business owner. I make electric cars out of gas cars. I have something real quick to say though. Medicare and Medicaid is too important to leave to the states. It just, everybody
It's too.
will just, do what they're going to do to it, and it'll just crumble. Anyways, in April 2006, standing up
Maybe.
for the Republican virtue of personal responsibility, Mitt Romney signed a law requiring every citizen in Massachusetts to buy health insurance. It's a Republican way of reforming the market, he said then. Because let me tell you, having 30 million people in this country without health insurance and having those people show up when they get sick and expect someone else to pay, that's a democratic approach. That's the wrong way. And that is basically what the Affordable Health Care and Reform Act is about. Getting everybody insured.
This used to be, the things that you're against used to be the platform of the Republican Party. And now the Tea Party has hijacked it and taken it in a different direction, and you've been following that like a dog on a leash. And we're tired of it.
There's a difference between the federal government making these decisions and the state governments making
Great
these
statement.
decisions.
Well, our state passed the basic health option, which when it kicks in 2013 and 2014, will put us as the #1 state.
Yeah.
We were the ones that brought 3,000 people over there to Olympia to get that fought for. And
Yep.
right now, I'm sorry to take a little bit more of your time, but right now, as a disabled veteran, you speak very highly of the support of the veterans and supporting our troops and all that stuff. Continuously, every single time going into VA healthcare centers, this continuous talk about what the Paul Ryan budget plan is going to do as far as causing massive layoffs. Because the super committee could not decide on progressive revenue, we have huge cuts in the Department of Defense. What has come out of that? Paul Ryan, the person you are supporting, the representative you are supporting, the budget you are supporting, is making huge cuts, not into our wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, our support of Libya, all these other things. No, they are taking it. They're taking it far more than any other group. It's coming out of the Department of Veterans Affairs, which is our hospitals. And as a man who served in Iraq, who nearly lost his life 3 times, I find it very despicable that you could even say that you're about the troops.
VA, we protected the funding for our veterans and for the VA. There were no cuts. In fact, it was actually increased a little bit in the run.
That's not correct.
We have a doctor here who would like to speak about the case.
I have to get her to a meeting, so why don't we have one quick comment, and then why don't you go ahead and sum it up for us?
Yeah, I'm a fourth-year medical student from Spokane here.
Great.
Just kind of overall listening, this is kind of my first experience, kind of listening to both sides. And I just wanted to say, as you're going forward in your legislation, just remember the purpose. I got into being a doctor to take care of people. And I know that especially the economy, the way things are, deficits being the way they are, both Republicans and Democrats, federal, state level, you guys are making really tough decisions. I know the Obamacare, like you said, is $500 billion off of primarily Medicare Advantage. There's
They can get that many otherwhere else. They can get that money elsewhere, though.
Healthcare, it's oxygen, it's...
Yeah, my point is, there's some really tough decisions to be made financially from both sides, and there's always going to be groups that are losing and winning from whatever changes you make on a healthcare system. But just remember, as you're moving forward, to try to think about the purpose of healthcare. Its overall purpose to take care of the most people, allow them to be happy and healthy and live a long life. So if you kind of just have that as your guiding principle moving forward, I think that you and the Democrats on both sides will be able to create some better legislation.
What's your
Well
response?
said. There's nothing more personal than our health care. And that is where I believe it is most important that when it comes to health care, that the decisions are made by you and your doctor, not the federal government. Health care belongs in the hands of the individuals and the doctors and the health care
insurance
companies. Not the insurance companies and not the federal government.
So
No, I don't.
the only problem I would say to that is just that for the millions of Americans that don't have access to hospitals, they don't even have that conversation with
They
the
have
doctor
access
to be
to
able
hospital. They go to the emergency room all the
Right.
time.
And you have bankruptcy.
And then they go to debt.
They have access.
Okay. Yeah.
I know it's not the best way to do it.
Right.
Yeah, and it puts a lot of stress on the healthcare workers. They can't afford to. Okay.
Referee here.
You can't afford it.
Why don't we go ahead and you have some closing remarks?
I do. We just wanted you to explain why your priorities didn't seem to be our priorities. Rather than more giveaways to the rich and subsidies to the oil companies, we need a budget that protects middle class economic security by protecting our families' health care. It's time everyone paid their fair share of taxes and that politicians will represent the middle class priorities with as much enthusiasm as you support the richest Americans who donate to your campaigns. It's time for you, Congresswoman, and your colleagues, to answer to us constituents for your vote. And why is it that more tax breaks for the rich instead of protecting Medicaid and Medicare for seniors, children, people with disabilities, and working families in your district? We will not forget which side that you seem to be on, and that the Republican budget does not help our families or our economy or our state. In fact, the biggest beneficiaries of this budget are the rich, who get a big tax giveaway while the rest of us get higher health care costs and shrinking benefits. That is not fair.
Right.
Maybe politicians like you think that voters aren't watching and we won't keep track of which side our representatives are on when it comes to things that we care about. But you're wrong. Middle class families, seniors, and voters are watching, and we expect answers when you side with the rich and with corporations instead of protecting health care for all of us, your constituents.
That's right. Thank you.
That's why we're here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I really want to save some budget, single payer.
Amen.
Medicare for all. Healthcare for all.
No. Medicare for all. The doctors are single.
When you have nothing, single payer is the answer.
Okay, yeah, it's all So we watch everything you do. We watch every report, everything you do.
Just because you have a Medicare card right now, just because you have a Medicare card,
I just think the folks need to look at the facts a little bit more closely.
I'm trying to record for YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, but you're leaving out the countless examples that are doing extremely successfully, like every Nordic country where it's extremely successful. You keep bringing up Canada.
Congresswoman?
You're leaving out all the ones where it's actually very successful.
There's a lot where it's successful.
everyone from around the world come to America.
I think they are, and I think they are
Why are
talking.
The rich do.
We do an amazing care for the richest among us. You're correct there.
There's a hell of a lot more poor people in the world than there are rich.
And why are Americans being sent to India to get their medical work done there?
Why is my sister raped?
What? I don't know. Who made
A
her
year
wait?
and a half.
I don't know who it is.
Who made her wait?
Skin,
Who is that?
Southern California Insurance Company, so-called nonprofit.
Congressman, we do have a...
Thank you for your office, Kathy.
Okay.